Hello, everyone. Thank you, Park Byung-gyu 이사님, for inviting Xank to this wonderful event in Singapore. Can we have my slides up, please? I'm here to present to you world's first stable transaction coin, which is completely different from any other stable coins in the world. My name is Kim Yu-hyun. You may be wondering why a 55-year-old South Korean is trying to create a new cryptocurrency. I'm here to tell you a little bit about my personal story. My first company started back in 1989, went to the moon, meaning that what it started from a single desk in my cousin's trading company grew into a publicly traded company in 12 years. And my blood, sweat, and tears went into this business. That was all good. However, because I ran this public company into the ground, what I experienced was I went to $20 million bankruptcy for me personally. However, because it was a public listed company, I was forced into imprisonment for 2 years after that, without any nefarious activities on my part. However, the bigger problem in South Korean law is there is something called secondary tax law in Korea that forced me to I couldn't open bank account for the next 10 years after this. And that led me to Bitcoin because I couldn't open a bank account, so I couldn't, any bank account that I opened, it was, seized by the government because of the 5 million tax implication that I had. So when I first learned about Bitcoin, it was life-changing to me because I could have my own bank account for the first time. And Bitcoin really saved me in terms of my financial freedom because I could make money again as a person. And this happens a lot to many entrepreneurs in South Korea because of this law. But the problem with Bitcoin was it was too volatile. You couldn't use this as an everyday currency. So that led me to stablecoins. But at what cost? If you think about it, all of these stablecoins in the world are trying to peg their entire coin supply to some fiat value. And historically, if you look at all the national currencies in the world, fiat pegs to something like US dollars always broke at some point. And we believe that this type of stablecoins are not sustainable because of that fact. We don't think trying to peg your entire coin supply is simply unsustainable. Meaning that right now, Tether's valuation is like $4 billion. That means in order to use $4 billion, you need to have $4 billion in the bank somewhere doing nothing but to collateralize the transaction you and me are doing with Tether, right? So we think that's a very capital inefficient way of doing stablecoins. So what we do instead is doing this. We just let our cryptocurrency free flow, similar to how Bitcoin and Ethereum works. So we can have the speculative value that cryptocurrency brings to the table. However, we are only doing the stable transactions, meaning whenever I transact anybody with anyone, that transaction piece can be stabilized in a special way so that we can engage in cryptocurrency transactions for the first time. So I'm here to tell you that Xank is the first free-floating cryptocurrency with stable transactions and investment value at the same time. So how do we do this? What we do is we are trying to do this in completely decentralized manner. So we take coin emissions, 15% of that, to a decentralized Xank reserve. This means that 15% of the entire coin supply is always available for this type of stable transactions. Let's say we can have two kinds of scenarios in this type of transactions because the price of Xank can go up in time and it can go down in time, right? During that transaction time. So let's say on the day one, Xank price is $10. Alice is trying to send $100 to Bob. But when Bob tries to cash that out at the 30th day, let's say price of Xank went up to $20. That means Bob needs only 5 coins to realize that $100. So what happens is that 5 coins comes back to Xank Reserve, and Xank Reserve makes money in this case. However, opposite could happen, and same as $10 on the first day, Alice is trying to send $100 to Bob, and when Bob trying to cash it out on the 30th day, let's say price went down to $5. That means Bob needs another 10 coins to realize that $100. But whatever happens, Xank Reserve guarantees that transactional amount the sender has promised. This is how stable transactions work with a free floating cryptocurrency. So recap, we are a stable transactions coin rather than stable coin. We're the first stable coin that has investment value. If you think about it, why would you want to invest in stablecoin? Because it doesn't have any fluctuations, right? There's no speculative value there. So, and then we have we don't have any collateral requirement whatsoever. And everything is self-funded, decentralized. And we are using IMF SDR, which is a basket of 5 world global currency: US dollar, Japanese yen, euros, Chinese yuan, and British pound. We think that IMF SDR is much stable value than any single currency alone. We're the first stable coin to have a masternode governance model with passive income. So you can make passive income as well as having a speculative value. We are trying to create some cryptocurrency that is usable on everyday cases. Almost all the time, what happens is that cryptocurrency, as in South Korea, we're just using it to speculate, to have assets, appreciate in value. But we're not trying to spend it. We're not trying to use it on everyday cases. And that's what we are trying to do. And one of the strategies that we came up with is this. We're the first coin that is dedicating 35% of the entire coin emission into market adoption purposes. And this is one of the ways that we are doing this. There are about, fiat currency is like 1,000 times the cryptocurrency at this moment. So how do we get people from the fiat currency into a cryptocurrency space? We need some kind of gateway or bridge between the two. And we are saying that the loyalty points holders in the fiat currency world is kind of in a conundrum in that they accrued 7,000 miles as airlines mileage or some loyalty points for shopping at certain malls. They accrue all these loyalty points, but it's not really usable outside of their ecosystem. So what we do instead is we are offering those reward holders to have a chance to exchange into Xank cryptocurrency at the same value level. Whatever the Xank price is at this point, we can trade it. You can redeem it with Xank tokens so that immediately you're happy because you can go to local exchange and then get your cash for your rewards. So customer is happy. Those loyalty merchants, an example of this loyalty merchant is like Korean Airlines. Korean Airlines currently have in their books in 2018, they got $2.2 billion in terms of deferred revenue. What deferred revenue means is the loyalty points, mileage, it's a debt, it's a liability, right? So after we exchange all the mileage points with users, we give them tokens, which we emitted, and then we accrue all these mileages and go to these loyalty merchants and says, okay, we want to offer you a mileage liability write-off for your debt solution. So they're happy because there can be write off a lot of mileage accrued liabilities. So as long as you do that, we say that only condition we have for that would be you accept Xank tokens in your payment terminals. So we are going to be happy because we are getting mass adoption. So all these three parties, we think this is a great mass adoption model, and that's what we are proposing to many companies in Korea, and we hope to do the same in international markets. This is our Xank team. I'm the founder. We have very international team members. I'm just going to mention one of them is our CFO, Sung Kim. He was the analyst at Morgan Stanley. We have a very seasoned advisor list. Notable member would be Mr. Hwang. He was the longest running CIO at Korean Airlines. And Dennis Choi recently joined us. He's the mastermind behind Korea's largest loyalty point called OK Cashback. And he is the one who has created that system when he worked at SK. So this is our project roadmap. Xank started January 2017. We wrote our first white paper on April 2018. We are currently trying to release our what's called yellow paper, which is a technical version of our white paper this year. And we hope to go mainnet in the next year. And this is how we see the world. There was a lot of talk about Bitcoin and Libra, Facebook's Libra. And if you really think about it, in order for a cryptocurrency to get adopted in the real world, we see these four are the major pillars that is required to get adopted and used by everyday people. And one is, if you don't have the price stability, we don't think that's very useful. And that's what Facebook's Libra is trying to do right now, right? And another point will be the scalability, meaning that the current crop of blockchains are not very scalable. They're very slow. And we need to address that, because if you try to pay for a coffee and you need to wait like 30 minutes, that's not doable, right? That's how Bitcoin works. And we need to solve that issue in terms of few seconds latency. And then third one will be the privacy, because I don't think anyone in the right mind in the business world will pay Bitcoin their employees' salaries, because that information is public, isn't it? And you don't want that information to be public. So privacy is a big concern. And lastly, the decentralization that Bitcoin pioneered. So we think if you don't have all of those four pillars, features into your cryptocurrency, we don't think it will get mass adopted, period. And we are happy to say that Xank is the first cryptocurrency in the world who can claim that we have all these four figured out. So let me try to close this. We believe in decentralized finance that is separated from the government. We believe in decentralization. And four pillars will be the stability, scalability, privacy, and decentralization. And Xank is trying to make all of that happen in a single cryptocurrency that is trustable, usable, and convenient enough to be mass adopted. Thank you very much.